Good morning. Welcome to the Windsor Senior Center and our Aging in Place panel discussion. Our experts this morning are Maureen McIntyre on the end over there. She's Chief Executive Director of the North Central Area Agency on Aging. She's a lifelong resident of Connecticut, and she grew up with both sets of her grandparents close by. That gives her lots of personal experience. She's now a 30-year social service professional and has worked in a variety of positions across multiple industries, which centered upon older adults, their healthcare needs, and the many factors supporting successful community living. She's very passionate about the role of the nonprofit sector as a necessary partner together with the corporate and business sectors in ensuring equal opportunity, economic growth, and access to long-term services and supports for all of Connecticut's residents. Next, we have Cheryl Rosenbaum at the Caring Connection Adult Day Health Center, Town of Windsor. Cheryl is a graduate of Temple University in therapeutic recreation and is a certified dementia practitioner. She's the Caring Connections coordinator and therapeutic recreation director. She's been a recreation therapist for 30 years, working with elderly clients, mostly in nursing homes. And she knows that a successful therapeutic recreation director can take an individual where they're at and create opportunities for increased self-esteem based on past interests. And adult day health is one of the least used and most valuable tools for staying home for aging in place. Last but not least, we have Mike Plummber. He's the Assistant Director of Clinical Operations at Connecticut Community Care, I beg your pardon. And he was a care manager for 16 years, then a manager for 6, and recently promoted to the Associate Director of Operations. And Connecticut Community Care coordinates care for older adults who want to stay in their homes, correct? So I'm going to let each of them tell you a little bit about what they do and how they do it, and then you're going to be asking questions.
Thank you. It was nice meeting all of you. So Connecticut Community Care, we're a private nonprofit organization. Is this going, can you hear me? Okay.
A little closer.
A little closer, okay. We're a private nonprofit organization that was established in 1980, and we've been supporting Connecticut residents for close to 44 years. Through all our programs that we service, we provide an average about 17,000 clients across all our programs. And we're contracted with the Department of Social Services to manage and operationalize several of DSS waiver and other public programs. We also have a private care management division and some other coalitions and collectives that we provide. I'm going to go over a little bit of the public waivers. We provide case management for 3 public waivers: the Connecticut Home Care Program for Elders, which is what I'll talk about, which provides services for individuals that are 65 and older, who are Connecticut residents and are eligible for Medicaid or can access the state-funded portion of the program. And we have a vast array of services from personal care assistance to assistive technology, adult daycare, lifelines, and I'll go over some of those. We also have the PCA waiver program, which is also for individuals that are 18 to 64, for Connecticut residents, also eligible for Medicaid, and those services are mainly regarded around personal care assistance. And then the last waiver is the ABI waiver, which is the acquired brain injury waiver, is for individuals 18 to 64, also Connecticut resident, and Medicaid eligible. And those services are structured in a team approach, including like cognitive behavioralists, rehab training, support services. And it's very goal oriented. We also provide case management and assistance with money follows the person for individuals that are in nursing homes that are wanting to come out of the nursing home back into the community. We provide case management, we do an assessment, and we also provide assessments for community first choice. And that's an entitlement for any person who is on Medicaid, and they would participate in self-directing care for themselves. And there is no age requirement for that. But I'm going to talk about the home care program for elders. There are 3 open categories of the home care program. There are actually 4, but one of them is closed. So it's been frozen since 2015. So I'm just going to focus on the other 3. So we have a waiver program, which is it's for anyone over age 65. You have to either to qualify, you have to be for the waiver, you have to be Medicaid eligible, to be active on Medicaid, and have 3 needs, qualifying needs. And they would be needing assistance with bathing, dressing, toilet, and transferring. Or have 2 needs and have issues with maybe some cognitive decline. That would be the only other cognitive impairment, which would need assistance to qualify for that. There is the income limits for that is $2,829. That's the max income you can have to be on the waiver.
A month?
A month. And your assets to be eligible for Medicaid on the waiver is, you can only have $1,600 in assets. The next program is a state-funded program. They call it Category 2. That's for individuals obviously 65 and older. Same qualifying needs where you have to have the three qualifying conditions, needs of bathing, dressing, toileting, and transferring. But you're not eligible for Medicaid. So this is where you can have, there is no income limit, but if you're over $2,430 of income, the state could have you pay an applied income, but they determine that based on your income. The asset limit is higher, so you're allowed to have assets of $46,242 for a single individual in assets. Your house and your car are not considered an asset. This would be mainly like bank information. And and you could have an applied income if your income is over the $2,430 as well. And there's also a 3% cost share for that program. The state has a cost share for that. And the last program is considered, it's called Category 5. It's for individuals that are on active Medicaid and you have 1 or 2 critical needs for to meet the qualifications, but you have to be Medicaid active. There is a limit on the amount of services you can have. They have a cap on the hours of help, where you can have a PCA. The limit is 14 hours a week, or a limit of 6 hours a week of homemaking. So those are the programs that we have. The care manager, once we receive an assessment from the Department of Social Services, a care manager is assigned the case. We come out and we do an evaluation, and we use, the state of Connecticut has a universal assessment, and the qualifications include meeting the nursing home level of care to determine the support needed, which with your ADLs, which would be regarding the bathing, dressing, transferring, and eating and feeding. And the universal assessment outcome it creates a individualized budget that allows the care manager to develop a care plan with the individual to meet their goals and maintain safety in the community. Care management services, they're maintained and remain ongoing once you're on the program The care manager comes out every 6 months to do a reevaluation, and they call every month in between that to monitor the satisfaction and effectiveness of the care plan. So some of when the assessment is being done, the care manager will complete a Title 19 application with all individuals, and that's how they assess the state assess if you're eligible for Medicaid or the state-funded portion of the program. I can go over some of the services that are available. Their personal care assistants. When we're creating care plans, we usually be like personal care assistants. They're an individual that can assist with hands-on care needs. They can help with supervision with personal care needs, and also they can do light houseworking within the home. A homemaker, they provide in-home services, but it's light housework, house cleaning, shopping, some local transportation, but they are not allowed to provide hands-on care needs. A companion, similar to a homemaker, also, they can assist individuals with medical appointments, reminders. They can supervise when individuals are doing personal care, so that there's someone in the home for safety. They can also go out on recreational activities, and but they, as a homemaker, they are not allowed to do any personal care. We have another service called Adult Family Living. That's a program where individuals, if you live with a family member, friend, they can be paid to provide the care for you, but they have to live, the qualifications, they have to also live in the home with you. And there are different categories to that program depending on your needs. All right. The only stipulation is the direct provider can be a relative, but they cannot be a spouse or a legally liable relative, which would be considered a spouse. We also have home delivered meals, Meals on Wheels. We have a variety of agencies are getting a little tougher to find, but some of those providers do accommodate special diets, renal and diabetic diets. We have adult daycares. They're also another group. We have social and medical models. The adult daycares, they provide transportation to and from your home. They provide meals, recreational activities, supervision.
More to come on that.
Yes, she'll discuss that. We have emergency response services systems. These have really changed quite a bit in the last few years. We had before it was just the basic two-way. Now they got medication dispensers with the lifeline buttons, fall detection. They have GPS. They're starting to come out with smartwatch technology. So that's another service. And then we still have, the skilled nursing services, home health aides, in-home counseling. And then to make referrals for the home care program, you would have to, it's online with the state of Connecticut, and I have a number, I can leave that. I'll probably send something so you can have it, because I can give that out afterwards. That is pretty much it. I'm sure if there's any questions, we can talk about it after. Thanks, Kat.
I'm going to stand at the podium. I'm better at that than sitting. So good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
For those of you that don't know me, my name is Cheryl Rosenbaum, and I'm the coordinator here in Windsor at the Caring Connection Adult Day Center. If you take nothing from this program today other than it takes a village, then you've taken something very important. Each one of us up here today is providing you information, and lots of information, to help you be knowledgeable when and if the time comes that you need care. When I come to many health fairs here in Windsor and around in other communities, people who pass my booth, I say, just take it, put it in a file for someday. Someday may never come, but at least you'll have the knowledge to start the journey of how to best care for yourself or a loved one. So at the Caring Connection, our motto is, we do not change where you live, only how you live. And it's really the reason all of you are here today. I've never met anyone who wants to live out their days outside of their home or community. Have you? Didn't Dorothy say, there's no place like home? Well, Windsor's Caring Connection has been serving seniors for almost 38 years. We're a medical model adult day health center certified with commendation with the Connecticut Association of Adult Day Services. So I said a medical model. There are two types of adult day centers, social and medical. And there are also day centers that open up that have nothing, that are not certified with the state organization, which is the Connecticut Association of Adult Day Health Services. And so those centers cannot access the Connecticut Home Care Program for elders. They are private pay places where people go. They cannot access the grants through the North Central Area Agency on Aging or veterans. We can do all of those. So you might just be thinking, why would somebody need or want to come to an adult day center? And as varied as all of you are, and the people that you may be listening for today or yourself, that's as diverse as the population we serve. When you attend an adult day healthcare center, you are doing that for your own health, for your self-esteem, for your quality of life, in the hope that you're going to prevent things like rehospitalization, maintain your independence, and give some much needed respite to those who help to care for you. So for the clients themselves, a day at the Caring Connection is fun, engaging, delicious, impactful, safe, caring, just to name a few. So what does all that mean? A day at the Caring Connection provides you a purposeful opportunity to be actively engaged with your peers in a program that might need to be adapted for you or another individual. We call that person-centered, whatever your needs or preferences might be. We may be having an activity that's of no interest to you. You're not obligated to participate in that activity. We can find something else, or you can pursue something that you like on your own off to the side. No one at the day center ever has to do anything that isn't of interest to them, and we can help you find something else that is. We're staffed by nurses, CNAs, therapeutic recreation specialists, activities people. We have a kitchen person, and we have an office person. It's another village to make our program work. Daily, the nurses on site can help you set up at medications, monitor chronic health conditions such as high blood pressures, diabetes, congestive heart failure. If you're new to any of those, they can help train you. They can help provide you with a record of what your blood pressure's been. Every month, everyone who attends the center does have their weight and blood pressure checked, but sometimes you have someone who needs to monitor that, and our nurse can help with that. You might have, unfortunately, just suffered a wound and it might need some care. She can do that. I don't want you to think, though, that when you walk into the Caring Connection, you see people that are ill-looking or frail. You see people that, like yourselves. So we always have a nurse present in case there's any health emergency. And I mentioned delicious. Daily, we have good nutritional snacks and lunch, and we can provide assistance if you have a therapeutic diet. Maybe you no longer eat gluten, or maybe you need your food to be a certain consistency to swallow healthfully. Any one of those things. We actually are associated with the Connecticut Adult and Child Day Center programs. Our commitment to that program means we get some reimbursement, but we also are committed to a healthy diet, whole grain, low sugar, etc. But we have some exciting things too. I don't want you to think we never have some exciting things to eat. Our clients engage daily in a meaningful therapeutic recreation program, including opportunities to develop friendships, to socialize, to exercise, to be challenged cognitively. We have a horticulture therapist, a creative arts therapist, music therapy, drumming, comedic expression, spiritual activities, just to name a few. And I'd just like to, oops, I gotta get something from my calendar, from my folder. I'm gonna just tell you about a sample day, what it might be if you came to the Caring Connection. So I brought a copy of our calendar, both food and activities. Lois really knows I'm not a stand behind the podium kind of person, so I'm doing my best to stand still. So today, our clients we start every morning with a morning meeting, and then chair exercise. They're going to name that artist this morning, which are musical artists, with a piece, start to play the song, who knows who wrote that song, maybe a little singing with it. Then some jokes. This afternoon there's a program called Small Potatoes, then Target Tossed, and Future Stories. If you came to the Caring Connection today, morning snack was toast with peanut butter, coffee, tea, and lunch is baked chicken with gravy, white rice, cabbage, wheat bread, and fruit for dessert. And this afternoon, Tuesday. I believe Tuesday afternoon is bananas and either animal or graham crackers for a snack. All of our food comes from a local Windsor business. We support Lily's Soul Food, and everyone is very excited about the food. Even I've tasted some of it. It's really good. Okay, I think I have just a couple more points that I'd like to make before we move forward. So I'd just like to walk you a little bit through how someone might become a client at the Caring Connection. Prospective clients come for a meet and greet with me and our nurse to learn more about the program, the application process, the daily charge, and available grants. And the North Central Area Agency on Aging, which Maureen will talk to you about, is one of our sponsors, our partners, someone who helps us make the program possible for people who may not be on the Connecticut Home Care Program for Elders because they don't qualify, yet they need some financial assistance, and we try in many ways to make that happen. All of our prospective clients enjoy a free trial day as well. A daily charge might be paid through any combination, again, of private insurance, Medicaid, and the CCC program, the Connecticut Home Care Program for Elders, veterans, private funds, or grants. Our clients come from our town, as well as the surrounding towns to which transportation is available in our catchment area. Others, however, outside our immediate area come too. They arrange their own transportation or with some assistance from us. And we are a community now of, I couldn't tell you how many different towns, 12, 14. The pandemic changed many of the services we all have to offer. It changed your lives, it changed everyone's lives. And a number of day centers in the somewhat immediate area closed, and some further out. For example, Enfield had 2 programs, they now have none. So we have some people who come down from Enfield to enjoy our program. We try to make this work for as many people as possible, and transportation, if you're not in the immediate area, can be a problem if you're not fortunate enough to have someone who can bring you. We happen to be open from 8 to 4:30 every day, Monday through Friday. We offer half days, full days, and we do have a respite care program for 2 hours at a time. And this service, I believe, is one of the most affordable ways to have care. There are many, many ways to get care. Another important piece that I'd like you to take from my presentation is adult day centers are two-pronged. One is for the client, one is for the caregiver. When I meet with client and caregiver, I am often reinforcing the most important message. If the caregiver becomes ill, what happens to the care recipient? So we want to keep a caregiver healthy, supported, and getting what they need to continue to do that job so that the care recipient doesn't end up in a facility or outside of their community. Caring Connection currently has a staff of 9 regularly scheduled individuals representing full and part-time people and 4 per diem staff. We are growing. I would love the opportunity to speak to any of you. Should you need some information, or anyone is welcome to come down and see our facility if you've never been there. It's been an exciting summer. We just got new paint, new carpet, and we're waiting for new chairs. So thank you for the opportunity to share my story. We are passionate about the elder generation. We are here because you're here, and we want the opportunity to help you along this journey. Thank you.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. I think I will also come up to the podium because I realize I probably blend in a little bit to the tablecloth. So thank you so much for, right? So thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all today. And I'm going to reiterate something that Cheryl just said in terms of it takes a village to keep people in the community. And what I'll try to do with the rest of the panel and my discussion is show how those different Venn diagrams connect and show you how that infrastructure really is reliant on all of us. Okay, so as you remember from the introduction, my name is Maureen McIntyre. I'm with the North Central Area Agency on Aging. And fun fact, I started my elder services career at CCC. It was CCCI back then as a case manager assistant. And so again, we're all drawn to this type of work for passion. It's certainly not for guts and glory, but now 30 years later, still in the network and could not be happier. Speaking of anniversaries, actually, the Area Agencies on Aging, which I'll tell you a little about in a minute, celebrated our 50th anniversary this year. We were called into being about 50 years ago in 1974, so we are all celebrating our anniversary this year, which is very, very exciting. So we're happy to have been in the community for that long doing what we do. So you're probably saying, okay, well, what is it exactly that you do? Because we've probably never heard of you. We do tend to be a little bit of a best kept secret. So what I'll talk a little bit about today is the role that we play. It basically is two sides of the same coin. And I'm happy to have Cheryl here because she represents sort of an intersection of both of those sides of the coin. So let me first tell you how we came into being, because it is a direct link to how we're funded. We have our roots in the Older Americans Act of 1965, which was enacted because back then people were just beginning to live longer, people were just beginning to outlive their savings, and there was a lot of concern around people living longer but not necessarily living better. And so with the Older Americans Act, the idea was, let's provide a federal funding stream that will keep older adults more safely and with better health in their communities. So originally, the act was very centralized, and everybody pretty much got the same funding to do the same things, but they realized around the 70s that what they really needed to do was have a local advocate that could say, you know what, the Hartford area really needs this, and the Waterbury area really needs this. And this is what they did across the country. There are about 600 of us across the country, and each of us, area agencies on aging, are responsible for helping prioritize the funds in our service areas. So it's taking what used to be this big federal allocation and breaking it down to services funded exactly for what people need and what they will use, because that's part of what we do. That's our job, is to keep in touch with what are the priorities on the ground. And we do this by providing grant funding to organizations, to community-based services that come to us with great ideas about what their communities need. Enter Caring Connection, for example. Enter the town of Windsor, for example. Rebecca Joyce is a great grant writer, and she has a number of programs that are funded through our agency with Older Americans Act funding. So what does that mean? Adult daycare, transportation, elderly nutrition programs, in-home care, and you don't have to qualify for the Connecticut home care program to receive those. And that's how CCC and the area agencies on aging work so well together. For Michael's programs, you have to fit a certain box and then you're eligible. For the Older Americans Act services, you just have to be 60 years old. Okay, so this is how we work together. We are a great way to begin to start acclimating to services for spending down at some point if you need more. It's there for you. But this is sort of a way to begin at the community level to determine what it is you need, again, in order to increase the probability that you're going to be able to stay at home successfully. Okay? So in addition to, I want to spend 1 minute on elderly nutrition, because that is far and away the largest allocation of funds that we receive from the federal government, far and away. So in this area, we fund Community Renewal Team, or CRT. We provide funding for RW Resources in the New Britain area. We have a small program in Enfield and a couple small programs in the city of Hartford. Again, very much tailored to what the communities need, how they can get there, and what they're able to utilize. Okay, so again, it's putting those resources right into the communities where they're most likely to be utilized. Okay, so on the other side of the coin, there are the things that we do directly. So not as a funding agency, but as a direct care provider. And some of those programs will include the one that you might know about already, because we're gearing up for our busy season, which is the Choices program. That is the program that does heavy information and referral, and our busy season is because we are front lines on the Medicare open enrollment assistance. So for those of you that are new to Medicare, that might be choosing a Medicare Advantage plan, starting tomorrow, that kicks off. And so our Choices program folks are very busy helping to walk people through what their options are. We screen everybody, we make sure that the choices are out there, we provide different ideas of what makes sense based on your individual situation. And around our region, we have about 100 or so trained Choices people, for example, here in Windsor, that are trained by our staff and by the Center for Medicare Advocacy on this very information. So you're never very far from a Choices information trained counselor across the region. And the reason that this is important is because not everybody can get to a senior center. So we have an 800 number for people to call. Not everybody feels comfortable sharing what's going on with them or their basic financial information with people that they see all the time. So it's nice that they have a more anonymous person over the phone that they can talk to. And we're able to, through our relationship with the Department of Elderly Services, we're getting all of that really new, up-to-date information about all these programs and funneling it out into the community through the Choices programs. So it alleviates all of the programs from having to constantly sift through all of this stuff and try to figure out what's relevant, what's important, what was actually new yesterday but is old hat today. So our program, our Choices program, is able to do that for the Elder Network to make sure that everybody that needs the information can receive it in a consistent, trusted, and unbiased way. And I stress that consistent, trusted, and unbiased because the important thing to know about our Choices program, and then I'll move on to a couple other programs, but the thing I want to leave you with respect to our Choices program is that we do not have a profit motive, okay? We're private, nonprofit. We are not selling the insurance. We have nothing to gain from what you choose. In fact, because of that, we are also able, in many cases, to find programs that you might be eligible for that you won't need that Medicare supplemental plan anymore. We've had very recently an individual sit with one of our service navigators who was paying an awful lot of money for a Medicare plan, and it turned out that this individual was actually eligible for a state-funded program, and as a result did not need these very expensive plans they were on and wound up saving $400 a month just because they knew to ask. We screened, we found, we transitioned, and that $400 in today's economy goes a really long way. So again, with that trusted, consistent, unbiased, it matters. So those things do matter. So that's our Choices program, and like I say, that gets really busy as of tomorrow. I'm sure all of you have seen the ads on television already. They've been pretty much constant for the last month or so. So my apologies on that front. I know it does get fairly mind-numbing. So that's Choices, but in addition to some of those, you heard Lois mention a couple of these already. We do have a couple of programs that are geared specifically for family caregivers. And so Lois referenced that they are one of the organizations that we can be utilizing. We can have older adults and their families utilize Lois's center. Cheryl, I'm looking
Okay.
at how many,
We're partners in
how
crime.
many times have I done it? Have I done it more than that one time?
Twice.
Twice.
Okay.
Okay, so newsflash. Lois used to be a grantee of ours at Caring Connection for years and years and years and years. Cheryl, her successor, has been a grantee and a partner ever since Lois. So I'm not losing my mind, I promise you. And it's only because I care for both of these gals very, very much.
I have
So
a
my
great adult
apologies
day center
again.
for you.
Oh my goodness. And I have a story about an adult day center that I'll tell you with respect to my caregiver programs that I think you'll like. But we have found in the agency that one of the most important things that we can do is support family caregivers in what they're doing. Because as Cheryl talked about, without the caregiver, now you've got two people on a banana peel, right? You've got the caregiver who's holding it together, and you've got a care recipient who's relying on that caregiver. So our caregiver programs, I'm not going to go into all of the nuts and bolts of them because that's our job, is to help screen for which one is most appropriate. But what we do is we fund programs to help people stay in their homes. So you heard Michael talk about Adult Day, you heard homemakers, companions, Meals on Wheels, all of that menu of services under the Connecticut Home Care Program for Elders. But again, not everybody qualifies for that. So we're fortunate to have a couple of programs that don't have quite the same level of income and asset guidelines, don't necessarily have the same age requirements, so we can fill in the gaps in that eligibility kind of merry-go-round. And a lot of the folks that we're serving on our caregiver programs are using those services as a bridge until they qualify for the Connecticut Home Care Program, which is the only long-term care funding that Connecticut has. And we are so fortunate in Connecticut to have all of those waivers that Michael talked about. Not every state has them. So the fact that Connecticut invests that kind of money in our Medicaid system is really quite something. And our programs are there to fill in the gaps of folks that don't quite qualify. So here's an example of both respite care and adult daycare in a family caregiver scenario. One of our care managers received a call a couple months ago. It started off as an elder abuse call. Okay, in our office, you never know what's going to come out of the woodwork, right? You never know where those calls are going to come from and what they're going to be. So the original call was from someone who was very concerned because they felt that they witnessed and had called in, and what they suspected was elder abuse. So they called us. We had a care manager talk to a family member, and the family kind of gave us the down low, which was, it's a gentleman and his wife. The older woman, fairly advanced Alzheimer's disease. And every day they would get in the car, they would go down to the credit union, they would take out some money, they would go get coffee, they would get their paper, and this was what they did. But what the individual who was concerned witnessed was, it looked like to them that the gentleman grabbed her to keep her in the car and appeared to be preventing her from getting out. Now, this sounds probably sort of familiar in the event that you are working with someone that has dementia, that might be as soon as the car stops, they're out the door and it's not safe. So it was actually that type of a situation. We were able to get some caregiver support in there. Adult daycare turned out to be the best fit for them because the gentleman really needed a break. He really needed some time. This was not about, he didn't want to care for his wife anymore. He just knew he needed a bit of a buffer. So in speaking with him and setting all of this up, he actually asked for an adult day center miles and miles and miles away from his house. And we asked, like, this, you know, there's one really not far from you. And he said, you know what? I love the ride. She loves the ride. The drive itself is respite for me. And she loves to be out with me with our coffee and our paper in the car. So it's not just the day center. It's everything that goes along with it. Okay, so that's an example of how deploying the right amount of services for just the right reasons, for just the right episodes, really, really goes a long way. And they have done spectacularly with adult day center services for their family. So those are our caregiver programs. And again, if you went to our website, you'd find all kinds of information about them. You know, the different criteria and the different qualifications. Don't worry so much about that. Just call. Our staff will walk through the applications with you. We'll talk about what your needs are. Let us handle what the right program is. We don't want that to be a barrier, because what we found is by the time a family caregiver has picked up the phone and admitted that they are looking for assistance, the last thing they need is for a barrage of, okay, I need you to fit into these different categories. Let us worry about that. Let us worry about that, okay? So those are our family caregiver programs. The last service that I want to just very quickly touch on, because it's more recent and it's very top of mind. Not long ago, we talked to and petitioned the Connecticut General Assembly for a service called service navigation. And the reason that we went in this direction is because a majority of the calls that we were getting were becoming more and more serious and more complicated. Very much complicated by the COVID pandemic. Rather than more service driven, this is what I need, this is what I think will help me in the community, we were getting a lot more calls that were very urgent. I'm about to be evicted. I don't have heat. I don't have enough food in my refrigerator, and I'm caring for my son who has a learning disability and his kids. Okay, so a lot presenting themselves, almost always at the end of the day, almost always without an easy solution. And none of those fit neatly into any of the service boxes, right? They were all going to need a lot of follow-up. They were all going to need a lot of very strategic advocacy, a lot of rattling cages, and that's what our service navigators do. They can take a consumer issue and really dig in, get involved, make phone calls, help with applications, fight like hell when necessary, and it has been an incredibly successful program because, again, sometimes there just aren't easy answers, and no amount of information and referral is going to be sufficient. So that has been another opportunity for us to support not just our immediate citizens, but our 38 towns that we cover, okay? And I'll draw another quick story about the service navigators. I mentioned earlier about the gal that saved that couple $400 a month. The original call was from the Yukon Population Health because this individual wanted to participate in one of Yukon's studies on dementia care. But as it turns out, they couldn't participate because they didn't have the right insurance that Yukon needed to demonstrate. So as they are saying to this couple, well, you can't participate in our program, they realized, okay, well, wait a minute. They can't afford groceries, they can't afford food, they're just barely getting here. And that's why they wanted to participate, because they were gonna get a stipend. So this was I'm gonna age myself. Does anybody remember the Family Circle cartoons with Billy? And Billy's going for a walk and he's chasing the butterfly and now he's gonna chase the puppy and now he's gonna go get ice cream. That sometimes is what accessing services looks like, right? I'm gonna go here and then I'm gonna call here and then if I happen to see the butterfly, right? We are really trying to make this a little more straightforward. We would really like you to call us because we'll help you figure out what you're eligible for, what makes sense. We'll get you to Michael, we'll get you to Cheryl, and a host of other things that you may not have known to ask for. You may not have known the special handshake, the special code word. We probably do. And if we don't, we probably know who does. Okay, and that's how I want to wrap up. Just that there are people here for you. We know we've been in this for a long time. You heard you were 16 years in care management, and how many years in your current role?
I've only been here a few months, my current, but I was 6 years as the manager of the community that managed Windsor was part of.
Okay,
So.
and Cheryl was?
20 years in long-term care, and 5 years at the Caring Connection in Recreation, and now 8 years as the manager. So.
Okay.
Lot of years.
There is a lot of experience at the front of the room. And so with that, thank you so much for having us all. And we'll make sure that you know how to contact us when this is all over.
I thought I knew a lot. I learned a lot this morning. So now it's time for question and answers. And Amy's got a microphone that she can pass along to you. If you have a question for a specific presenter, tell us. If not, we'll just let them decide who is most appropriate to answer your question.
I guess I've been hearing about silver service, the home care that's free of charge. Is the North Central Aging part of that? Do you know about that? And would that, you know, because you said all programs, but you know about all the different programs. So a call to you would be your first best step, not going to each program that you hear.
So if you're interested in our caregiver programs, I'll leave you some information. Call our main number and ask for the caregiver team. Okay? Because that will put you right in the care management department, which will be able to handle exactly what you're looking for.
So would all of it be separate if you wanted home care, or, I mean, each, there's different categories?
We'll help you figure out all of it, because yes, home care is a nice umbrella that, and Michael kind of gave what is under that. So the homemaker, the companion, the PCA, the home health aide, all of that kind of falls under the umbrella of home care. So what the care managers do is they work with you to figure out, well, what exactly is it you need help with? And that's how we figure out what your plan of care might look like, or what the actual needs are. Because all of those things do very different things. So part of that assessment, part of that conversation is nailing down exactly what the needs of that person are.
And then funding.
Yes, yes. And then we fund based on what the needs are. And that can include any of that stuff I just mentioned, including adult day services.
Any other questions?
So we, no.
Don't fight, ladies.
Go first. How do we get to you? I mean, you know, the Choices program and the Service Navigator, I need both of those.
Okay.
And I don't know how to get to you. I mean, as a 76-year-old, no one's ever explained anything of how you access services if you don't qualify for Medicaid. I mean, if I'm decrepit and I know our country won't allow me to languish in my house alone, but what about in the interim?
Excellent. Okay, so there's a lot there, and I'll answer this in a couple different ways. First of all, I'm sorry you didn't know about us, but you're not alone. And part of that goes along with being a private nonprofit entity that is largely state and federally funded, okay? The programs that I mentioned, they are all specifically funded, and we do advertising and outreach based on what those programs have
Yeah,
for
but
us.
how do you know what to trust? I mean, I see these ads on TV, some of them are people looking to sell me something. I mean, just the choices alone, you know, just the choices alone. I mean, you get on the phone and you know they're pushing a program. So who do you trust? That idea of neutrality, not-for-profit, actual, give me information so I can make an informed decision. Not dead yet. You know?
Correct.
And this idea of waiting to be dead or almost dead before anyone will help me, that's not okay with me.
No, it is not. And that's exactly what our programs are designed for.
So how do we get to you?
Okay, so Would you like me to give you our 800 number? I do have handy dandy flyers with phone numbers and maps and all kinds of stuff.
I want that.
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm handing the whole packet to Lois.
Okay, here's my question, I'm not sure who to direct it to. So, it's been a while since I worked for the state government, and when I did, I was really active in the Money Follows the Person program for people who are blind that were living in nursing homes and wanted to go back to the community. But a lot has changed, so I just wondered if one of you could just address the Choices program and how, who's responsible for that now, what the process is.
For money follows the person, or
Right. Money
so
Follows the Person.
okay.
Lois, can I take that?
So for money follows the person, that comes through the Department of Social Services. The individual or the facility would make a referral to Money Follows the Person through the Department of Social Services, and then depending which facility, it would determine which access agency would come out to do the assessments. So it's mainly through the Department of Social Services. That's who provides it. Is that answering your question?
Sort of. Well, they have an 800 line, I guess.
Yeah, there is an 800, I believe there is a line, and also they can make the referrals online through the website, through the state of Connecticut. So.
Can I borrow that frame with you? And I just realized I wanted to go back very quickly. I'm sorry to hog this. I wanted to address one more thing that you said, because this is important and it's very germane to you guys here. I had the opportunity to talk to Representative Jane Garibay last legislative session. And first of all, she's wonderful, yes? Right. And she was alarmed that people don't know about the area agencies on aging. And she was able to get us some funding for some statewide outreach to help us get the word out about what we do, so that more people will know who we are and the programs that we have available. So to your point, we are definitely trying, and your state rep was an incremental and invaluable ally in helping us get the word out. So I just wanted you to know that.
So do I call my representative if I can't find truthful information?
Just call us. Just call us. That's what we're here for.
Any other questions? Going once? Going twice? Okay, I guess that's it for questions. Thank you all for coming.